Baptism, burying ourselves in the old man, being raised the new man. The waters were refreshing, and I'm going to prove that. I've never washed my face in the lake, Jenny Lake, before, and I'm going to. Oh, that feels so good. Ooh. Ah, that's nice. The water, the theme of the water, is the renewal of life. And back there in that ancient Near Eastern desert, the Jews definitely viewed water, the rains, as the gift of the gods. The mountains brought the rains because of the way the atmosphere cools and the way the air cools as it rises, and it forms clouds. And it forms rain, of course. And of course it produces lakes and streams. The water literally gives life. That's why Jesus said he is the living waters. Come and drink of him and you'll never thirst again. Water, spectacular element in the temple. John Lundquist, in his studies on the temple, said that the New Jerusalem temple would have the rivers of life flowing directly under the temple. They would be able to get those waters directly in the temple from the mount. Mountain water is the best water there is to drink, man. All of this cluster of imagery fits together beautifully with this theme of the temple, the mountain, the Dur-on key, the bond of heaven and earth. Pretty spectacular themes. Pretty spectacular places. And of course, the wildlife is in abundance with the waters also. There's nothing like the wildlife here in the Grand Teton Range. There's the canyon that the glacier carved out to form Jenny Lake here through the millennia. They say they're about 13 million years old. So when you study the scriptures and you read about mountains, you read about the waters of life, the tree of life. Pretty spectacular how they incorporated the natural imagery into the theology. It makes beautiful sense. It's a beautiful theme in Psalm 29:3 when we read, "The voice of the Lord is over the waters, the Lord over mighty waters." That's fascinating. Even the great bronze laver in the courtyard of Solomon's temple was called the sea, the yam. This was in the Canaanite mythology the name of the chaotic monster god. And, of course, Jewish tradition would later identify the bare rock in the Holy of Holies of Herod's temple as the Even HaShatia, the foundation stone. But the voice of the Lord is over the many mighty waters. That's fascinating how the water imagery is played out in the scriptures with the mountains, the temple, which was basically a cosmic map, so to speak. As Nibley said in his message to the Joseph Smith Papyri, time and again, he said they're symbolic of the cosmos. They orient us to the cosmos. And of course, that's because, as Hamblin and Seeley note, the temples were often aligned with the sun, the moon, the stars, basically demonstrating the centrality of a harmonious relationship with the cosmos. Often temples faced east toward the sun, as reflected by the English word orientation, meaning an orientation toward the east. These temples also had their corners squared with the four cardinal directions, and that's why the gate of Solomon's temple was oriented toward the rising sun in the east, in the direction of which the priests sometimes prayed. That's in Ezekiel 8, verse 16. It's interesting that in the case of Gudea of Lagash, God actually revealed the plan, the pattern of the temple itself, just exactly as he did with Moses in the Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai looks similar to these mountains, except it's much, much drier. God revealed the pattern of the tabernacle to Moses in the wilderness. We know that. So it's a revelation thing. God wants the revelation to to be oriented the way He wants it oriented to the cosmos, which is, of course, the grander context of all the temples, because we are, whether we like it or not, even though we're here on this magnificent earth, we are children of the cosmos. There's no question about that. Our actual larger context and home is in the cosmos, without question. The theme of the temples is sacred space. Sacred space. That's why so many people like coming to the mountains, because it is sacred space. That's what makes the mountains so spectacular, is they are so close to heaven that it's actually a sacred space. It's a sacred space surrounded by profane space, and this is the realm of we humans. So in order to tap into the sacred space, we go to the mountains, we go to the temples. That's the theme of the ancient temple worship. That's the theme of the modern temple worship as far as that goes. It all ties in very interestingly. The ascent to the presence of the deity was dramatized by a ziggurat in a vertical way. Similarly, the journey can be undertaken through a horizontal progression and a trajectory through the various zones of sanctity toward the innermost Holy of Holies in the temple. That's the idea of having the various separations of the building itself, because in the Holy of Holies, in the temple, is where God resides. So with the architecture, the iconography, the ritual, and the verbal language of the ancient sacred symbols, this provides a crucial understanding and a context for grasping what Solomon's temple was all about. That is the theme of Hamblin's and Seeley's book on Solomon's temple. That's why I chose it as a beautiful illustration of my theme today, the mountain of God, being the sacred space where one goes to commune with the deity, where one goes to find oneself in the presence of God, the higher one goes. That is what the appeal to these magnificent mountains is. That's why they are so appealing, is because they are so grand. It separates you from the earth, so to speak, and it elevates you toward heaven. And that's the theme of having the heavenly ascent also. That's why all the big revelations are given in either the temples or the mountains.